Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Tactical Baby Gear Podcast. In this episode, Alex and I discuss how to deal with other people's kids, some Ask TBG stuff around the automotive industry, and the good old question if Beav's going to have another baby or not, amongst a few other things. All in this episode. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. How's it going?
It is going.
It's Monday.
Monday.
Let me mute my cell phone here so it doesn't start dinging and pinging and ringing during this podcast.
Mine's muted, and then I always forget to, try to be over fancy over here, and then this thing starts beeping. Yeah, so that was you can set it to go like swimming and do things.
Oh yeah.
But I also set it that way because when I'm changing diapers, the kids always try to mess with it. Next thing you know, I'm calling someone while I'm changing. Kind of awkward. So literally, I'll just put it into swim mode, I guess. I don't know what it's specifically called, water mode, swim mode, but yeah. So then
can you put your
touches
kids
it
in
and
silent mode?
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? So it allows them to light up the screen, but it won't.
There's no functionality to it.
Yeah, they can't call people. Which I've literally had someone be like, "Hello," I'm like, I feel like Dick Tracy, right? And I'm like, all right. So, anyways,
cool.
I hadn't turned that off, but that was that fun noise. But I'll turn that ding off.
Right on.
You have a good weekend?
Busy weekend, dude. Our weekend started Friday. Mm-hmm. You and me and Alex had some friends in town, so I took them out on the boat, and then that was fun though. That was cool.
It was fun.
No one got hurt.
Well, there's just a lot of things to think about, just parenting.
And then when you get on the boat, and it's like a whole nother dynamic of things to consider, and then you jump off the boat and you're on some little island beach thing, wherever, sandbar, and it's just like a whole nother dynamic of parenting that you're trying to maneuver your way through. But
that and lather up all the sunscreen, keep the alligators still enough to douse them. Actually, we just started wearing, we always just have them wear, the
shirts. That's
now.
what
it's just
my
so much
ginger behind. I wear the shirts, Columbia shirts, because
kids move and shake, and
my tattoos have been getting just annihilated by the sun over the years, and
so they just start fading the more.
Sun. The sun's the worst thing in the world. I mean, it just ruins everything. The sun is awful. You know what I mean? Because think about it. It'll bleach. It'll bleach a canvas thing out in this, or an umbrella out in the sun. It does the same thing to everything else. Car paint and anything. So as I've gotten older and realized, hey, I should probably take care of these tattoos that are on me forever, instead of just getting sunburnt all the time. Not to mention, I don't want skin cancer or anything either.
Yes. Try to avoid all the cancers if possible.
Yes. So that was Friday. Well, Friday. So after I took you guys back, I picked up Dan from Combat Flags. He was in town visiting. So I picked up him and his buddy, Tony, and took them out for a cruise. And we hung out for a while and chit-chatted and talked about business and life. And he just had LASIK. I wanted to have him on the podcast. You guys, I'm sorry. I'll get him on next time. Dan's a great dude. He's got little kids, and he's got, I say kids, I think he's just got one kid. But he had just had LASIK surgery, and he would have looked like a demon on camera, and the lights in his face, it wasn't going to be a good thing. So we'll have to save that for next time. But his buddy, I want to have him on the podcast too, because his buddy does sex crimes, child sex crimes. He's a detective, an investigator, or whatever, for a police department doing child sex crime stuff. And then, so we got to talking about some of that kind of stuff and just the crazy things, the array of crazy things that he sees, and, patterns that he sees, and things, how to identify things or deal with things or prevent things. And so I really, really want to have him on to talk about some of that kind of stuff, because that's crazy. And that's stuff that needs to be talked about, and people need to be made aware of and educated on how to stay safe around that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's a crazy world. We went out and had some dinner. There was something else I was going to say about Dan. Oh, otherwise, so Combat Flags, by the way. I know we've mentioned Combat Flags before, if you're watching this, hanging up back there. Hey Ryan, go flag that flag a little. Fly that flag. Flag that flag.
Flag the flag.
Fly not that one. This camo one. So he makes these flags that are there we go, combat flags that are camouflage. They're like different patterns to mimic the uniforms worn by the Army and he's got Air Force, Army. Anyways, they're like you saw that. It's multi-cam type pattern. They're really, really cool. But the original combat flag that he makes is actually made from uniforms of soldiers who were deployed. And so they donate them. He makes these flags. He cuts up the pants and jackets and all this stuff, and he makes flags that have the American flag on it. And then it comes with a story of who the soldier was, what they did, what they encountered, like whatever their story is. It's really, 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 really cool. And now he's doing patches. So he has enough of the scraps, that he's able to make smaller pieces. So he's got little like 2x3 Velcro patches that he's making now. Really cool stuff. So I encourage you guys to go check out combatflags.com, I believe is the website. Otherwise, check them out on Instagram at combatflags for sure. But we'll have Dan on here before too long.
Definitely.
And then I got into, after that was Friday. Saturday, jumped right into my oldest daughter's birthday. She turned 8. Actually, her birthday is today, Monday. But over the weekend, we had like birthday party extravaganza. It's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive this?
So at what age did she start saying like, I want like birthday parties or whatever else? I'm not there yet. So
I'm trying to recall. I mean, every year we've done something different, but like, it was always like, you just like, hey, your birthday's coming up. You've had parties in the past. They remember that. And then by the time they're like 3 or 4, they're like, oh, my birthday means I'm having a party. And then it's
cake.
Just trying to figure out like what kind of themed party do they want, So like we've done everything from like mermaids to unicorn to this to that. And it's just like a theme. Invite your friends. We end up with like 400 million people at our house, smashing cake in the carpets. So we've kind of steered away from parties at the house because the rest of the people in my house
if possible,
I've always been
have it outside the home.
Yeah, if you can do it like
there.
somewhere else and like pay the $200 fee to have a party somewhere else, do it. But I mean, anyways, so there's pros and cons either way. But this year, she decided she just wanted a sleepover. We were like, all right, well, it seems easy enough. Couple friends.
Seems easy enough.
Oh man, is that
how many was it?
Well, there was five kids at the house, so it wasn't like that crazy, but it was crazy. And so first thing we did, we gathered them all up at like 10 o'clock Saturday morning, and piled them all up in the Suburban, and we went to Savannah and went to the trampoline park, which was cool because all these kids are like in gymnastics and stuff, so it's like fun for them. And
it's fun for kids when you get old on those trampolines.
I'm less concerned about some of the kids that do gymnastics on the trampoline than like Kendall, my youngest one, who I'm like, why don't you just stand over here with me? Because she does gymnastics, which makes me nervous because she's so clumsy. I'm like, she's going to be the one I'm rushing to the hospital for something because it's not going to end well. And
I mean, or you could just like, we were just jumping straight up and down and the wife blew out her ACL, just literally straight up and down.
Yeah. I mean, crazy things happen, like freak things happen. But, so that was cool. I did see one kid get blasted though. This dude, I would say in his mid-20s.
Well, they did like dodgeball blasted or like?
No, like
have you seen that by the way?
Dodgeball,
like trampoline dodgeball.
Yeah, they have it there, and they were all like nobody could hit Kendall because she's so small, and she would just like dodge these balls,
just stand still. And
I was kind of pissed because these kids were like whipping the ball, like trying to hit her. And like she's not gonna get like hurt, so I just kind of sat there and watched to see what happened, and like nobody could hit her because she's like this little tiny thing. It's like this itty bitty target, so it was pretty comical.
So one guy got blasted.
Yeah, so this dude, he's like in his mid-20s probably. He starts running through like he's Mr. freaking Ninja Man. Starts running through and does this big long front flip from like this top deck surface down into the trampoline area. And while at the same time, this other kid's like running across the opposite direction. And as he's doing this flip, he just hits this kid square in the side of the head, and they both go down. And this kid's like grabbing his neck, and I'm like, oh, this is bad. So I jump down there, and I'm like making sure he's okay. This other lady jumps down there. I thought was his mom. The dude that hit him came back and is like, he's freaked out. He's like, oh, I just killed this kid. And so this lady who I thought was his mom has got this kid, and she's like holding his neck, and she kind of a little dramatic, but at the same time, like it was kind of gnarly.
Yeah.
And so I go grab some people that work there. I was like, hey, we need to help this kid, So they blow their whistle, and like 10 employees come and get everyone else out of the area. And then the dad finally comes over, and he's like, get up, walk it off, And like, because you can like read your kids. Yeah. You're like, all right, how serious is this for real? My kids will scream bloody murder, and I think someone got their arm cut off, and there's like a fly in the house. Yeah. I'm like, geez. So he's like, oh, shut up, walk it off, And like 2 seconds later, this kid's like bouncing around the trampoline like nothing happened. I'm like, oh, jeez.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's nice. Crazy. It's nice when you're like you're young and all your stuff's still like it's all cartilage and not bone. Like, you know what I mean? You can bend it this way and bring it back, and it just like pop back to. What was it? What was that? Was it Bundy? The green little dinosaur. Throwing it back to like the 80s, or it was probably before that. All y'all listening know what we're talking about. You got it's like
you're oh my gosh, I'm looking
it's right a clay thing, and they're like, oh, could you imagine filming that in a sidebar? Like, like you move each little movement, and you have to do like 50,000 takes just to have them like go upstairs. But it's a P or a B, P or B.
It's like
Gumby.
Gumby.
Samsonite. Way off. Gumby.
I had I'm like bendable green character.
But that was searched?
Oh yeah, I couldn't.
That's hilarious. Gumby. Man, I wonder when Gumby came out.
I have to I don't know. I should figure that out.
Anyways.
If anybody that's watching doesn't remember Gumby, which I'll be very disappointed if you don't, you won't be able to see that. We'll put it on the screen. Gumby. You remember Gumby, Ryan?
Oh, man.
Anyways.
So, yeah, kids being Gumby, you know what I mean? At that age, you just bend, you bend and you pop right back.
Right.
Meanwhile, if I would have decked that kid, I would have been like in the hospital. Something would have broke.
Mm-hmm.
Or that, or at the very least, you wake up the next morning and you're like, stiff.
Yeah.
And so you're at the
trampoline park, and then we took the kids shopping. We went to the outlets over there in Pooler, and we didn't do like party favors for anybody. So I was like, hey, everybody's got like $15. We went to like Claire's and Justice and all the girls' stores, and this one girl who Cameron does gymnastics with, who's a little older, she's 10. And she's so mature and so like well behaved, and like she was like babysitting Kendall, and like I was really impressed with her. She's like, no, I don't really like to buy stuff. I like to save my money. She's like, I got like $1,000. I'm like, damn girl, let me borrow some money.
Whoa, Zuri.
Oh, Zuri, good morning. Getting a little aggressive there, huh? Hi. Yeah, so the kids went shopping. That was a nightmare too, because it's like, I'm like, no, that's like $25, like 15, And because these kids' age ranges, it's like 2 5-year-olds, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old. Some of them understand it, some of them don't. And it had to like pry them out of Claire's, because I'm like, okay. And then of course the woman at Claire's is like, well, it's buy 3 get 3 free, and they're like, we can get free stuff, and I'm like, no.
$150 later, you get 3 things for free.
Oh yeah, it's like crazy.
It's like all the stuff at the when you're a kid and you go into like the arcade and your stuff, you're like, Dad, I can win this thing, and he's like, yeah, it's gonna cost me $100 for that teddy bear. I'll just buy the damn teddy bear for $5.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. So, but then the other thing is like, we go to the first store and they all feel like they got to buy something. Well, I'm like, hey girls, don't forget we're gonna go to Justice, and everyone was like, yeah. So they're like, then they get to Justice, but they all spent like $10 at Claire's, thinking they were all gonna go to Justice and buy something else. But like, there's nothing under like $10 there. So I'm like,
well played.
Yeah.
Get them to spend 10. You can't actually spend the other 5.
So it's like, oh man, of course there's 5 of them, and this one wants that, and this one this, and well, they spent all their money, but this one's like, well, I still have $5, and I want to buy this for her. I was like, oh, what did I get myself into? But I had to just suck it up. Like, it's the birthday weekend. Deal with it, Dad.
I'm not ready for all that.
Yeah. There's no like right way or wrong way.
Well, because even from just like you're talking about, like managing other people's kids in a way,
it's hard.
Like so we went to the park, and there was a kid on the park there that like kind of like seemed to like latch on to me. He's a little bit older than my 3-year-olds. I think maybe he was 6, but he was talking about like dragons and rock monsters and like all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm not mentally there with my kids yet, so I'm like, I don't know how to. I'm feeling awkward with a 6-year-old because I'm like, I don't know how to interact with you because you're gonna protect me from the rock monsters, but
and the ground is lava.
Exactly. I was like, all right, well, thanks. Meanwhile, like my kid's trying to like climb up a ladder, which I'm like kind of giving them enough space to do it, but when like they're like all of 2 feet tall and they're like 6 feet up, I'm like, all right, this might actually hurt. I probably need to kind of make sure he can come down the ladder. And then I'm like trying to have this conversation with this 6-year-old about rock monsters. I was like, but it just brought up the whole idea. Like, thankfully you progress with kids, it's like, I'm not thrown into being around a whole bunch of 8-year-old girls. We'll get to that stage.
There, yeah.
But like something like at the park, you're like, all right, I don't know where this person's parents are. Like literally, you're like, this kid's like following me around with my kids. I'm like, well, that's fine, but and then
where's your parents, homie?
I'm like, where are your parents? Because now I'm like, my kids are trying to pass, and like the kid's like, no, I got to protect you, and I'm like, well, just ask nicely, can you please pass? And then the kid's like, wouldn't let him. I'm like, all right, this is about to get interesting. I don't want to get involved. My kids need to learn how to deal with the kids, and the kid wasn't mean, but he's just playing. And it's like, okay, well,
special delivery.
Zuri's being protective. But it was just like, all right, how do I start to deal with this? Because you're like, all right, you're having fun, you're playing. It's a playground, you need to play. My kids wanted nothing to do with this kid. They're like, all right,
stranger danger.
They're like, all right, Dad, you want to come up here and play with me? Dad, you want to play with me? Which is kind of funny, but I need to let them entertain, like learn how to deal with other kids. But it was just kind of, it just brought up the whole, like, one of those, like, oh, man, thankfully you start to progress with them. But I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for all this, like,
I'm not
managing
ready for
of other kids. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, oh, bring Sally and Tom and John to the park with us. I'm like, oh, I got to watch out for them, too.
Yeah.
What if they're weird? I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
So.
I had to do that a few weeks ago. We were at another birthday party, and there was this kid. This was at a friend's house, and the friends have a neighbor, and he lives with like the grandparents because apparently his parents couldn't take care of him or whatever, and that situations happen and like whatever. So the problem is this kid doesn't like have a lot of discipline in his life and like a real father figure, and I'm kind of speaking. I don't really know the details. I'm just from what I saw that this particular weekend and what I've heard, but like anyway, so he lives with the grandparents. They don't really discipline him. They kind of let him do whatever. But he finds his way over to the neighbor's house a lot. They're having a birthday party, big bouncy house and water slides and all this stuff outside. Well, he's being a little punk, and he's like,
and now how old's the kid? So we don't.
He's older than the other kids.
Okay, so there's a big age gap between your kids and this kid.
Yeah, and maybe not a huge age gap between him and Cameron, but this was like a 3 or 4 year old's birthday party, so it was mostly little kids, a couple older kids. He's the oldest of these kids,
gotcha.
And he's a straight punk. So, he was just like being mean to these little kids and pushing them down the slide and waiting for them to like climb up the little thing to go down the slide and pushing them off of that. And I'm like, and the moms kept saying something like, "Hey, you don't do that. That's not nice. You need to come. You're gonna get out of there if you can't play nice. Yada yada yada." And he's like trying to break things on the bouncy house. And so eventually I say something to him, kind of nice. I'm like, "Hey, dude, let's be cool. There's little kids. These are girls. Let's be nice." And he stopped for a second, and then like 5 minutes later, he's back at it. And he did something to Kendall, if I recall correctly, or some other little kid. I don't remember exactly the situation, but I kept my eye on him. So then big scary tattooed dad had to go over there and like put him in his
fear of
place.
God in him a little bit.
And he was pretty cool after that. He sort of disappeared. I don't know if he went to his house or he sort of disappeared for a little while, and then I saw him again later on. But it's funny because like I'm aware of the way I look, and we talked about this that weekend after that happened. And you're like, that's really funny. I didn't even think about the fact that you can kind of play that card of like the scary tattooed guy, because like you said, you don't really even pay attention. You don't really see the tattoo. And a lot of people tell me that after they get to know me, they're like, they have these judgments about you initially, which is a lot of times I almost unconsciously feel like I over index in like being nice or being more proper to people. Just to cut
like in public,
just to like I'm not a scumbag. Like I know I'm judged by people, and that's fine, but I can play that card if I need to, which is fun sometimes, especially when your kid's being a punk. But
have you ever encountered like in those situations where all of a sudden some parent then comes out and be like, "Don't talk to my kid like that," and you're like, well, I'm about to beat your kid because he's being a little
I've never had that.
Never had that?
Nah, I've never.
I've always wondered how I would handle that situation.
Because I always go super nice in the beginning. I've always I kind of over-index on the nice side of it and being proper. And I'll be like, hey buddy, let's be nice. Let's not, let's be cool or whatever. That's the only time I've really had to play that card to a little kid. His parents weren't around either. Yeah. And all the other parents and grandparents were like, what's this kid's problem? I'm like, I'm going to handle this kid in a minute if no one else does, But, I mean, there's a point where, once they cross that line, you have no problem reprimanding someone else's kid if they've really crossed the line. Right. Well, no one else has said anything, and I'm going to, because this is not right. Yeah. Somebody needs to show this kid right from wrong, or tell him right from wrong, or whatever. But, yeah, I've never had a parent get on me about it, and I would be totally fine if my kids were out of line and I didn't realize it or I wasn't around. Yeah, you can tell them what's up. Yeah, I don't have a problem with someone else being like, "Hey, you're not supposed to do that." I mean, it takes
because I've always thought about it again, especially in a playground, right? You got I'm just 6-year-old and my kids 3, being such an age difference as they're running or whatever, and just nail your kid and they fall down the slide or something. It's kind of like they need to know that the world's kind of tough and kind of get ready for it. But it's also they're also 3, right? So you're like, at what level do you, hey asshole, don't just go beating up little kids here.
Yeah,
we're all playing.
Accidents happen, right?
But then at the same token, you're like, you kind of need to learn. Some people are just. I mean, maybe they're 3 and they're oblivious, or they're 6 and they're oblivious, or you're 8 and you're just a little punk, Yeah. I don't know. I've been kind of trying to figure out in my own mind how to parent in those situations. Haven't had to experience it too much, but it's
the hardest part beyond that, and those kind of things just kind of come and go, and it's not all the time thing. You just tell your kids hey, you just got to make sure you're paying attention. You got to watch out for other people, and yada yada yada. And that's kind of the way I've encountered it. That's
and then when I get in the car to the spouse, it's like earmuffs. I'm like, that little punk is about to get his butt beat.
We're having to where his dad is, but no. Beyond that, though, the hardest part, and I've mentioned this before, is your kids being around older kids that have experienced other things or that have older siblings, that then things, become, they sort of trickle down, and all of a sudden your 6-year-old or your 8-year-old or your 5-year-old knows things that 12 and 13-year-olds are talking about, which that becomes very disconcerting.
Or again, maybe you got a very mature 10-year-old who's allowed to
do certain things.
I'm just gonna say, ride his bike to X, Y, Z place, and then your 5-year-old wants to ride the bike to the same place. You're like, don't cross the street.
Yeah, whatever. It's crazy, and there's things like that you just cannot prepare yourself for. You cannot, it's not okay, well, when your kid's 3, make sure you tell them not to do this. You're like, they're 3. Why would I think I have to? I have
12-year-old's got a Swiss Army knife, and then your 5-year-old comes and wants to hang out and play,
right, or whatever, and you're like, oh my. So and then things almost. My experience, things have just happened, and you're like, okay, well, that's where we're at in life now. It's time to deal with this, because you're like, okay, well, my 6-year-old hasn't been exposed to X.
Well, you're saying that there isn't a phone app that dings, and you're like, hey, reminder, today your kid's going to
talk about this with them. Oh no, Yeah. Whether it's just safety things or inappropriate things, like, okay, they're talking about this that they shouldn't be talking about. Where did they learn that from? Who did they learn that from? And apparently that's something we need to talk about now.
Yeah.
FML. And there's no guide to it. Just comes as it comes, and you're like, all right, that's where we're at now. It's crazy because you don't think your kids are going to be exposed to certain things, or like,
or at least
and you think that you're like, okay, I'm going to be able to do it on my terms and tell them about X, Y, or Z when I feel like the time is right.
Yeah.
But you don't get to decide. Things just happen, unfortunately, and that's what it is. So that's crazy. That's scary.
The curveballs of parenting takes an adjustment period.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just like you have the adjustment period, you bring the kid home from the hospital, and then third kid comes home, you're like, whatever. Just put him in that.
Whoa.
You're just like, he's fine. Just leave him in that basket, cardboard box. So he'll figure it out.
Right.
It's like 1 week old, and you're like, that crying's normal.
I was the hero though at the sleepover. Did you? I'm sure some of these guys probably saw on Instagram. Did you see on Instagram how I built a fort?
I missed that. I went to bed.
They were like obsessed. They like had it in their minds that they were getting a fort in the living room, or in their like we get 2 living rooms, right? So like they have like a play side living room, and then there's like more formal living room area. Well, they had it in their minds that they were camping out in the living room. They wanted this fort, and they were going to watch a movie. And I tried this last time. They had a sleepover, and it was a disaster because they were like knocking stuff down every 5 seconds, and I needed they all needed a blanket to sleep with and all this
so
stuff.
You didn't have enough blankets.
I didn't have enough blankets to like make this fort, and I wasn't gonna drag more chairs and more crap into the room because there's already this massive couch in there, and I'm like, I ain't got room for like all this extra stuff. How in the world am I gonna pull this off and keep these girls happy and not mad at me the rest of the night?
Yeah.
So I came to the office, and I grabbed the Airmos inflatable tent, and I put it up in my living room. And I was the king of the world. And I was like, this is probably not the best idea I've ever had. Because I was like, man, I know that thing gets pretty tall.
Or my ceiling.
And it's like just up touching the fan. I like got super lucky.
Tape over the fan switch so no one just turns that on.
Yeah, I got super lucky. And I was the hero of the day. And it's still up in my living room right now. Because I haven't had time because I was at the shop all day yesterday working
saving me.
Yeah, saving you. So for those of you who don't know, I put this on Instagram too, and this is going to be, I think we're going to include this as part of the new Ask TBG series of kind of like a lane of questions that you can ask about. But I come from the automotive background, and I was in the automotive business for 12 plus years, and I have a deep knowledge of vehicles. So whether it's service and repair work, and we built a lot of high-end custom stuff, but driving your car and keeping your family safe in the car is a very big deal. And a car is a huge purchase in your life. It's like buying a home. Like you don't buy cars all the time. It's a big investment. So if there's anything that I can ever do to help you guys along the way, if you feel like there's a shop that's trying to take advantage of you and they're trying to scare you, a lot of times these shops are like, they try to scare people into fixing things like, oh, well, you don't want to be sitting on the side of the road with your kid in the back seat, so you need to fix this. When in all reality, it's like nothing that would actually leave you stranded. It's like something stupid or there. So anyways, my point being, I put that on Instagram yesterday, and you guys are welcome to reach out. Send me an Instagram DM. If they're like, hey, this shop says that I need to replace this, yada, 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 or hey, they're saying this is going to be like $4,000. Does that seem right? I'm not opening my books for I'm not trying to work on anybody's car locally or anything like that. But if I can help guide you in the right direction, or answer a simple question, or put your mind at ease, or tell you to get a second opinion, or whatever the case is, I'm happy to do that, because I think, you spend a lot of time with your families in the car. I want to make sure that you guys are safe, and then you're not being taken advantage of. So that kind of came up yesterday as I was in the shop, and I was like, man.
Well, so you were servicing your cars.
Yeah, so servicing my cars.
I had to bring mine in because my kids. So the way I was in a parking lot with my 3, and so obviously all the cars moving around and everything else. So she was like, "All right, let me put the twins in the front seat, shut the door, so they're at least not in the parking lot anymore, because it's hot and you don't want to just leave them out there." And anyways, buckling in the littlest one, and within 2 seconds, and they've never done this before, took quarters from the cup holder or whatever else and put them into the CD slot. So she doesn't realize this, grabs the kids, put them in there, and then turns the car and it's like like making all the noises. And so the system kept thinking that there was obviously a CD in there. And
I'm like,
anyways, thankfully, B was able to take it all apart.
Beav to the rescue.
He had his magic shake, and sure enough,
two coins fell out of it.
Came out, and
I didn't hear anything else rattling around.
It hasn't been a problem since.
It's been good. So problem solved.
Problem solver. Yes.
But yeah, so make sure that you ask those questions through DM if you want to. But I will likely, if I feel like it's something that I think is valuable to the rest of the community, I will include those in the Ask TBG series, because then we can use that for everyone to hear instead of your individual case. I've already had a few people reach out to me about some evap systems and stuff like that. And other people being like, oh my gosh, this is so cool that you're willing to help on that side of it too. So it's cool. I hope it helps and saves you guys some heartache, money, whatever.
As
best you can. Even new car recommendations. I mean, and this is very common too. It's you're like, oh my gosh, I'm having a baby. I need to get a better car, more reliable car, this, that, the other.
Or you need 3 car seat wide.
Or you need 3 car seats in your car, Alex. We did a lot of shopping.
What car is wide enough to have 3 car seats?
Yeah, there's only 8 of them. There's not a lot of vehicles out there.
Well, even at that, even a minivan, think about
it.
Well, you got a minivan, you can't get the captain's chairs if you don't want to have to then crawl through to get to the other kid in the back.
That's a pain.
There's a lot of
I dealt with that this
dynamics.
weekend in my Suburban, as it's got the bench seat, but then I had to have 2 kids sitting in the 3rd row. Of course, they're climbing over the seat, feet are on the headliner, and I'm freaking out on the inside. I'm like, all right, let's be careful. Let's okay, yeah.
Can you get in there? Can you get in the car like a normal person and not a dog?
They're too impatient for me to flip the seat forward for them to just crawl back there. They just want to dive right in, which I did too.
Of course,
back in our day, we used to do that while we were driving, jumping around from seat to seat,
without AC, driving uphill both ways.
You got it. Pushing the car. Yeah. So, but my brother, his kids are much older, he's got a Suburban, and every time he's looked for cars, or even when he was buying the Suburban, he's like, I have to have the rear captain seats so the kids can get in and out from the back row.
That's where we'll probably eventually go. But right now I had to have the bench, and it had to be wide enough. And then even just for the car seats, if you can get the cars, most cars now have anchors, but they're if it's 3 wide, then most of the time anchors are only on the left outside. And right. They're not in the middle. So then you're using the seat belt, and then some of the new cars out, they do that lock, and so if you don't pull it tight enough, and then the kid starts messing with it, all of a sudden it becomes loose, and so it's just you had to finagle it just perfectly. So it's always just a pain. But
we need to do a video on installing car seats. I've said that for 3 years. I'm slacking.
I got to take we're heading out this weekend with some friends who are flying in, so we're bringing one of our extra car seats for.
Oh boy, were you guys going to Nashville?
Nashville, yeah.
We're headed to Tennessee. We're going to probably be in the same area. We're headed to Tennessee. I don't even know where in Tennessee. I got back from a trip, and I was told oh, we're going to Tennessee next weekend. I'm like, what? I just got back in town. I got work to do.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, summer's almost up, and we never took a vacation, so we're doing this. Yeah. Awesome.
It'll be fun.
It will be.
This will be the longest car trip with the twins forward facing. So I'm very intrigued. We used to be able to try to time it well enough to where they'd be rear facing, and then we'd leave it let's say 6 o'clock, right? So they're kind of in there. You can kind of entertain them enough, lights, whatever, and they'll just be tired and go to sleep. Mm-hmm. So now they'll be forward facing. So I'll be intrigued if they actually sleep or not.
They just kick and scream the whole time.
No, they're not too bad. The youngest one hates car seats. The twins.
He's hated them since day one.
I had to buy a whole nother one just because
you thought it was the car seat. I remember that.
Well, and it made them less annoyed. So the angle. I mean, that's your kid. It's so anyone listening, sometimes the way the angle of the car seats are, that just tweak just enough to where one car seat might work really well for your kid and another one didn't. The one that I'd already invested in didn't work for my kid.
Sleeping
apparently
in different beds, you're like, this bed sucks.
And though I was like literally every time you put him in, he was just like wailing. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like, it's just not worth it. Like to have that stress for all of us when you're trying to drive it around. Mm-hmm. So I got another one. He liked it better, but still wasn't like. He's still just not the biggest fan. He likes his space. I think he's just annoyed because he can't like see enough because we have him rear facing still.
Right. I don't want to stare at this seat anymore.
We at least have the little mirror, if you would, so he kind of like looks around. But
right.
So we'll see how that car ride goes. It'll be about 5 hours.
I can't wait to hear about it. I don't know what we're gonna do. So we're going to Tennessee, cabin, mountains. That's all I know. I have no idea anything else. And there's other people going with us. So, and I'm gonna be the only dude again. Myself, my 2 kids.
If you have another kid,
Brandy's friend,
maybe you'll have a boy.
Single mom with her kid, and me.
Sounds like you should have another kid.
I don't know, man.
Or just adopt a boy and then it's guaranteed.
Adopt
a nice 6-year-old that's well trained and potty trained.
I like the baby phase. Like the baby phase is fun, and like
it's fun.
I love kids, and I don't mind the girls. And now that I'm like so in it, I wonder if I'd even know how to like. Of course, I'd figure it out, but like, I don't know. The girls are fun. I enjoy my time with the girls.
Absolutely.
And
well, there's cool things. I mean, obviously having all boys, there's certain things that I think about, from a long term too, of like you just like a daddy-daughter relationship. There's certain things that dads can do with daughters that I have no plans to have another one. But like that.
Have number 40.
At presently, at my present life stage, like there's certain things that I'll just never experience. I'm never gonna have the first dance with there's the weddings, like all the whole 9 yards. From little things like braiding their hair and painting their toenails to we don't have tea time in my house. Like
I
stuff
don't
like that.
My kids make me coffee.
well played. But so there's certain things that just which makes your kids just enjoyable, and you get to enjoy what you have and just be grateful.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's fun, for sure. But a boy would be fun too. I don't know, you guys. Everyone's always got the pressure on Beav to have another baby, and while I love the babies, I got a lot going on in life.
Who's gonna pay for said babies?
Yeah, this is
they get expensive.
This is not that's a hard decision to make, especially after all this time.
Well, especially if it's it's a
like
choice, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes life just has, like us, it was like, oh, and you're going to have a third kid. Like,
right.
Because we were talking, like, we had the twins, life's crazy. Man, like, maybe we need to round out the family with another one if we're fortunate enough to have another one. But I wasn't necessarily 100. At the time, I was like, I'm just trying to figure this out. You know what I mean?
You guys were
again
early.
With twins, it was just with business.
You were thrown right into it.
And then, God was like, and here's another one.
Yeah.
And so like he made the choice
Surprise.
for me, and
and so that was this case for me the first time around. And I've told this story several episodes ago about how Brandy got pregnant very, very soon after we just started dating. And so that was a huge surprise and a big shock to us. And it turned out to be the greatest thing ever. But making a decision to have another one, number 2, was super easy. We're like, all right, Cameron's like 2 now. Like, of course, like it was like not even a question. We're like, do we feel ready for this? Yeah, we feel ready. Like, okay, let's try to have another baby, because like, of course, you want to have like a sibling or something. And like the first time experience wasn't crazy or bad, or we didn't hate it, and we were like, oh, this is great. Like,
no health issues.
Yeah, let's have a brother, sister, sibling, whatever. Like 2 years apart's a good spread. Cool. Yeah.
You're not quite out of it at that stage too. You know what I mean? Like
we're already going to daycare. We're already feeding kids. We're already doing this. Like, let's just funnel one into the mix. No big deal. And that was a big change. It was actually a big shock. Like making a decision was easy. But like having, you're like, whoa, 2 is a lot harder than just 1. There's a lot more going on.
Well, and obviously, thankfully, in your situation too, it's still like man-to-man covered, as I like to call it. When you get to that zone defense, zone defense on the beach and the pool.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to have that third eyeball back here.
Right.
Kind of.
But like making a decision now for number 3, it's like, man, I already
being
know.
out of the mix.
You just know what's coming, and you're like, ooh. But my kids, see, and this is the hard time I have because, having an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, like by the time we had a baby from now, like Cameron would be like almost 10. Kendall would be 7, roughly, at this stage. And they can change diapers and babysit, and it's like, oh, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. So I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Leave a comment. Beav needs to have a baby, yes or no. I'm afraid to see. I'm kind of curious to see what they say about it. Not that I'm going to let you decide my fate, but
yeah, probably need to speak to the wife about that one too.
Yeah.
Takes 2 to tango.
I'm afraid for all the yeses, it's just help her case more and more. See, everyone else thinks you should have a baby too.
So again, having this conversation, obviously,
she wants another one so bad, and I'm like, I'm not against the kids. Obviously, it's just like, I really want to start over right now. Like we're finally out of daycare. Like both kids in public schools, where it's like, man, I just gave myself a raise. No more daycare money, which is how I was able to buy a boat. I'm like, well, that daycare money just go into a boat payment.
Yeah, I don't. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Well, you got 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I already got 3 on that one, and then the youngest one, my kids. We were looking at photos. I say we. The wife was looking at photos, and then she informed me. Anyways, apparently my youngest, the twins, they like got their teeth a little bit later. Meanwhile, the youngest one's got like a full grill. He's cutting his last like canines or whatever.
Yeah.
Like every morning, it's like, I don't know, 5:45 or whatever. It's just wailing. I'm like, I couldn't do another kid right now. I'm like, all right, we're getting, like, he finally started sleeping, then he's not sleeping because of all the teeth. Kid's got a full rack. Apparently he just wants to eat steak. So,
yeah.
But that whole, like, not sleeping thing, granted, most days I'm up at 5:25 anyways, but it's just like on the weekends you're like, yeah, let me get to 6:30. Like, I want to get to 6:30. And he's like, nope.
Yeah.
And then by the time you finally get up and you're going to go get him, he falls back asleep at 7. You're like, God. But then they wake up and they smile at you. It's all worth it.
Yep. Yeah.
But could you go back to midnight feeds?
I mean, I would.
Obviously.
I would, but making that decision is hard. Like,
well, hey, at least you got your other kids waking up making you coffee, so you can survive.
It's true.
I still got to make my own coffee.
You'll get there. I have faith that Max and Nico will start making coffee.
Oh, they will. There's no.
Cameron was so good at it that I told her, I was like, I'm gonna like, I wanted to buy like a small trailer and make her like a food truck type little coffee thing, Cameron's Coffee, and like pull it behind the tactical baby gear truck and take it to events and sell coffee. She's good. She enjoys it. It's fun for her. We should just open a coffee shop downtown Bluffton. Cameron's Coffee. I think she could sell a lot of coffee for us.
Yeah. Would we ever work, or would we just be drinking coffee?
We would just drink coffee and do a podcast at a coffee shop.
Perfect. You need to set up one of those glass windows and just have all the obnoxious
Everyone's
people on like outside, all
Yeah.
like one person.
Yeah. You gotta do that. Cool. All right. Well, I got nothing else. You got anything else?
Nah, just gotta get to work.
Cool. Guys, thank you for listening. I know this wasn't the most exciting episode, but we want to continue to keep these flowing to you every single week. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get notified the next time it comes out. Leave a review wherever you're listening to this. We would greatly appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next episode.